FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
China, I want you first to lay out for us what Barack Obama will inherit, the extent of America's indebtedness.
Well, I think the fundamental thing he inherits is what Herb Stein called the first law of economics, which is that things that can't go on forever don't. And I want to come back to what Paul Keating said at the beginning about indebtedness in the United States. That is largely a consequence, as he rightly said, of the fact that household earnings have actually been flat even longer than from the early 1990s. You can indeed argue that pretty well from the mid-1970s, household earnings have been pretty flat. But Americans have continued to have what J.K. Galbraith calls the lack of any understanding of reasonable sufficiency. And they have, by and large, bridged the gap between the one and the other by borrowing money. If you look at the figures of household indebtedness in the mid-70s, it was about 680 billion. Today it's 14 trillion. American households have on average 13 credit cards, 40% of them on balance. Secondly, America, again as Paul suggested a moment or two ago, America has been the borrower of last resort. The Americans have bought whatever the rest of the world wanted to sell them and borrowed however much they could actually persuade the rest of the world to lend.
That's right.
And there's been a sort of implicit bargain with the Chinese, that the Chinese have bought treasury bonds and got a pretty derisory return for them, and in return the Americans have left their market open. Now, Barack Obama has the really difficult job, it's not just political or economic, it's socio-cultural as well, of promoting a savings spree in the United States. He's actually got people, he's got to get people to believe in what I think are family values, not running up bloody great deficits and having huge bills on your credit card, but actually saving money and doing all the things my mum and dad used to think were absolutely axiomatic in running a household budget. I think that's going to be very difficult for him. And I think it's going to be difficult for him to deal with that relationship with China if he appears to be shifting in a protectionist direction. So I think that domestic issue and the international trade issue are going to be a problem. The latter probably less of a problem, because we have actually seen in the last few months American exports starting to rise again, and rise quite dramatically. It's crazy for Americans to say that what they want is protectionism when you actually look at American exports over recent months. I think those are the real challenges for him. And I don't think that features at all in the American public debate, in the American public discourse. But sooner or later it'll have to.